Welcome to The Explainer. If you're a leader in public health, you know one of the absolute toughest parts of the job is dealing with conflict. So today, we're going to build a playbook, a step-by-step guide on how to manage it. So let's just kick things off with a big question that really flips the script on how we usually think about this. Is conflict in your organization just a problem that needs to be stamped out? Or could it actually be a resource, something you can harness for good? See, every conflict really has two faces. On the one hand, yeah, it can be a threat. When it gets personal, when it's about individual agendas instead of the team's goals, it can be really harmful. But look at the other side, the opportunity. When you manage it the right way, that same friction can spark new ideas, it can lead to better solutions, and it can actually make your team stronger. So the goal isn't to get rid of conflict. The real magic is in learning how to manage it. And here's something you really need to internalize. How conflict plays out in your organization, well, it pretty much starts with you. Your leadership style sets the tone. It creates the environment for how disagreements are handled. As we go through these next couple of slides, think about which one sounds most like you. So, what's the real difference in practice? Well, think about an authoritarian leader. They dictate, they control, and they don't really want a lot of input. In that kind of environment, conflict either gets shoved under the rug or it just explodes. There's no trust. But then you have the transformational leader. Their whole game is about building that trust, creating a space where people feel safe enough to disagree constructively.
And you see a pretty similar dynamic here. On one side, you have that totally hands-off laissez-faire leader. It might sound empowering, right? But with no oversight, it can just lead to chaos and, you guessed it, more conflict. On the flip side, you've got the servant leader. They put the team's needs first, they share power, and they build a foundation of respect where healthy disagreement can actually happen.
All right, so we've talked about the big picture and your leadership style. Now let's get down to brass tacks. We're going to open up the toolkit. These are the 5 core ways you can approach any dispute. Think of it like having a full set of tools instead of just trying to fix everything with a hammer. This table lays out all your options. At one end, you have avoidance. Just ignore it and hope it goes away. That's a classic lose-lose because the problem just festers. Then you have accommodating or competing. Both of those create a winner and a loser, which is terrible for team unity. Compromise sounds good, but it usually means everybody walks away a little bit unhappy. The real gold standard, the one you're always aiming for, is collaboration. It's tough, for sure, but it's the only one that gets you to a true win-win. Okay, so you know the styles, you've seen the toolkit, but how do you actually use it? When you're in the middle of a tense meeting, how do you steer things toward that collaborative win-win outcome we just talked about? This right here, this is probably the single most important secret in all of conflict management. People come to you with their positions. It's what they say they want. Your job as a leader is to dig deeper. You have to look past the demand and understand why they want it. That's where the real solutions are hiding. Let's make this super concrete with a classic public health example. The position is loud and clear. We need 2 more staff members. It's a rigid demand. But what's the underlying interest? Well, the real need is we have to cut down on patient wait times and improve our care. See how that just opens things up? Suddenly, the solution might not be more staff. Maybe it's a new scheduling system or a telehealth option. Focusing on interests, not positions, that is the game changer. And if you want a practical, step-by-step guide, here you go. This is your roadmap to resolution. First, set some ground rules, basically how we're all going to talk to each other with respect. Then you lock down exactly what the problem is. You make sure everyone listens without interrupting. Then you brainstorm solutions, you talk through the good and the bad of each one, and you work together to land on an agreement everyone can actually get behind. Now let's zoom out for a second. What's so powerful about these skills is that they don't just work for arguments inside your own team. They scale up big time. They're essential for every single level of public health leadership. And this image just captures that idea perfectly. The same principles, understanding interests, building consensus, they work everywhere. Whether you're working within health, like mediating a budget fight between departments, or across government, trying to partner with the education sector, or out to the whole of society, building public trust for a new health mandate, the stage gets bigger, but the playbook is exactly the same. So here's what it all boils down to. Mastering conflict management isn't just about being a good firefighter who puts out fires. It's about being an architect. You're not just solving problems. You are using those moments of friction to build a stronger, more innovative, and way more resilient organization. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. It's human nature to avoid difficult conversations, right? But maybe, just maybe, the very conversation you're putting off, what if that's where your organization's next great breakthrough is waiting to be discovered?